Hello, Internet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name's Jimmy, aka Perceptes. Welcome to another Patch and Play Live. If you are new to the stream, either watching it live or on recording, just a quick recap of what this is all about. This is a stream series that I've been doing for a few months now, once a week, and I just set up my modular stuff, and I don't have necessarily an idea of what we're going to do in advance, but we just start patching. And with anyone who's here live in the chat, we interact, we talk about modular, we talk about what we might want to do in terms of a patch for the day, and we kind of just see where it goes. My goal with these is, first and foremost, to be entertaining and fun, and to hopefully make some cool sounds. And secondly, to educate. I really enjoy teaching, and I like to think I do a pretty good job at it. So for anyone who's here live, I welcome questions, comments, thoughts, things that we can discuss. The point of doing these live is not only that they're sort of unplanned, but also to kind of interact with people and discuss what people are interested in. So if there's particular modules you would like to focus on in today's patch, or questions about particular modules, or questions about techniques, or you want my thoughts about anything related to building a modular case, what modules to look into for building it, for getting a setup going, or really anything at all, this is the forum to do that. So sometimes I kind of have a little bit of an idea of something we might do. In this case, I don't really. Although I guess we'll start the stream by talking out about some changes that you might notice from last time. And I should also mention, if anyone is here live, please do say hello in the chat so that I know that I have a live audience. It usually takes a few minutes for people to start trickling in. Ted Rosner, welcome to the stream. I remember you from a previous one. Thank you for coming back. It's nice to see you again. So for the folks that have come to these before, or any regulars who watch the recordings after the fact, you may notice that things look a little bit different than they did last time. Notably, I've got this new case, this new 64 HP pod over on the bottom right corner of the desk. This is the newest addition to my setup, and this is kind of funny because when I filled in the last slot on my two IntelliGel cases, I think it was maybe about a year and a half ago, I did my very first live stream on this channel, where I kind of wanted to do, I guess it was kind of like a checkpoint. It was like, I've come to this sort of milestone of filling in these two giant cases, and I want to just kind of hang out and chat about modular and maybe patch a little bit. And I titled the video like, "My cases are done." And most of the sort of comments about it were, "Yeah, nice one. A modular case is never done. You're just going to add a third case, and you're going to keep going and going, and there's never an end to it." And I was like, well, probably, but I don't really have any particular need for expansion. And I was thinking, yeah, I'll probably continue to get modules as things interest me, but I don't really think I need more space than this in terms of like what I might patch at a single moment in time. And that went on that way for a while. You know, while I'm talking, let me do some dusting to give you something to look at, and also hopefully get some of the dust off my modules. So that went on for quite some time, and I did have a few extra modules that wouldn't fit in the cases all at the same time, but mostly things that I didn't really need to use very often, or things that I kind of had a better version of or something like that. So it was okay to have like a few extra modules sitting in the closet. But I was offered a gift recently and decided that it was actually a good idea to get an additional small case for two purposes. One, to be kind of like the overflow of modules that I had in the closet that were otherwise not getting used. So this is a way that I could at least use them more often than I would otherwise, because I wouldn't want to bother swapping them out, I think, most of the time. And the other reason is that now that I'm doing kind of more of the sort of educational videos and deep dives where it's kind of focusing on one module or a combination to sort of show techniques, I think it actually makes more sense to have a small setup like this where I can make something that's purpose built for the example that I'm giving. Where it's like, here are the modules that are involved in the patch, and you're not seeing a bunch of sort of miscellaneous stuff in my larger case that's not necessarily relevant to what I'm explaining. So it's going to require a lot more like sort of swapping modules in and out. But I think it will make for sort of better video content when you're really just focused in. And I can also, of course, zoom in the camera much closer to this smaller case and get very good resolution. You'll be able to read all the text and see the graphics and whatever else. So that's the big addition. I've also got a few new camera angles today. So let's try these out. We've always had this overhead, and then I have a zoom in on the left case, which you've seen before, a zoom in on the right case, which you've seen before, but I also have a zoom on the auxes. So the Auxie 1 sequencer and the E16 macro controller, which we messed around with recently. It was another new addition. And then I also have a zoom in on the small pod case, which I think you'll have to tell me in the chat how well you can see this. If we can see the text on the screen of the data specifically, like if I, let's load up a preset. We'll have to see how well you can see those colored lines. So there's in order from top to bottom, green, blue, red, and yellow. I find that the red on black is very hard to see, especially if you have any sort of color deficiency. That'll be probably impossible to see on this resolution, if not even with your naked eye in person. It's a very bad color choice on Mordax's part. But anyway, hopefully this is a good enough resolution that you can actually get some sort of detail if I'm focusing on the screen here. So enough blabbing. Let me check in with the chat, see who else has arrived. Tonal Axis, welcome to the stream. I don't remember your name, so welcome if this is the first time. A request from Ted Rosner. Could you show us how to make some pads with Plaits and Desmodus? I struggle to make pads sound good with my modular, and they usually completely dominate the spectrum in a bad way. Ah, interesting. Not with Desmodus today because I deflashed that. Is that a word, deflash? I'm going to say that it's a word. I sometimes have, so my native Versio modules are Ruina Versio and Polydactyl Versio, and a good amount of the time I have Desmodus flashed onto Polydactyl, just to have like an extra reverb. But I've actually been kind of interested in spending more time with Polydactyl, which is what I bought it for originally. So I have that flashed currently. And I don't really want to reflash during the stream because it's kind of fiddly and I won't be able to talk while I'm doing it. But I will keep that in mind for a future. And I think we can maybe use a different reverb to do kind of the same idea. So let's explore that a bit, and maybe in the future we'll try it with Desmodus specifically, and hopefully you can translate to another reverb or get some ideas. Cicero, hey buddy, welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming. Brees, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to see you. One of my favorite other modular YouTubers. If you guys are not already following Brees, you should do that because he's got some great modular content and also a very relaxing voice that is quite pleasant to listen to regardless of what he's talking about. So yeah, let me do the quick spiel once more, since people are now trickling in. For those who have not seen the stream before, this is sort of a patch from scratch series where we hang out, chat about modular, and work on a patch that is not really planned in advance. So I'd like for the patch that we work on today to be directed by people who are here live. What you're interested in is what will be the best use of time, I think. And so I'm happy to answer questions. Please interrupt me. We don't have to do any sort of tangent that I go off on. I want this to be as useful as possible to the people that are here live. And obviously you can watch it on the recording afterwards, and there's still some value for whatever we create afterwards. But I think it's especially important for anyone who is taking the time to watch live and participate to focus on the things they're interested in. So thank you very much for coming. Let me stop brewing my tea before I overbrew it. And as I've said before, I do kind of think sometimes a little bit in advance about what we might do in case no one has any particular requests. And I think the obvious thing this time, in addition to kind of doing a drone with plates and a reverb, is to use some of these modules that I mostly don't use because they've been in the closet for a long time because I didn't have space for them. And so specifically, that's these two effects from Erica Synths, the Black Stereo Delay 2 and the Black Stereo Reverb. These were actually some of the first modules that I got, and they were my first effects when I was just using one case. I had these as my first sort of send effects, and I planned to use them alongside Zermixa, which has two stereo effect sends. So it was going to be delay on the first send and reverb on the second. And I discovered that I didn't really love them, I guess, or I mostly use them in sort of a fire and forget way. And so it didn't actually seem that useful to have them inside the modular case. I later got a really good reverb pedal. I got the Big Sky MX from Strymon. And then I tend to use that for reverb, and it was kind of superfluous to have the reverb in case. And then later I got C-Legs, which is usually what I use as kind of my delay and reverb, if I don't want to bother setting up the pedals. So these have really just sat in my closet for a couple of years mostly at this point. But now that I have this extra case where I can sort of bring in the things that were otherwise being unused, I think it might be interesting to sort of use these in sort of like an insert capacity, maybe like processing drums as a sort of a submix and applying different wackier effects to the drums rather than kind of the end of chain sort of effects. You can, I guess, C-Legs you can modulate pretty much every parameter too. But I know the Erica Synth stuff is really designed to do kind of weird pitch shifting effects from modulating the delay and reverb times and stuff. And so I thought that might be kind of fun to explore. So let's get started though with like a drone, and maybe we'll put some like wacky drums on top of it to get kind of like a ambient IDM sort of thing going. I think that might be a fun thing to do today. And have a sip of tea, and again, please interrupt me and ask questions. I'm more than happy to discuss whatever you want to focus on, but then we'll get started. And I really need to get a mute button so I don't slurp into the microphone. I need to get a bigger stream deck so I have space for a mute button. I don't even know how I would do it right now. Okay, so for plates, or Plaits, for those of you in Europe, don't at me on the pronunciation. We got to think of what is a good mode to use for a pad. I think we want something with like a lot of sort of timbral variation so that the sound can evolve over time without getting boring. The pitch is not going to change, or at least not frequently. So let's start tuning first. Let me make sure that Plaits is tuned to something. I get corrected on the pronunciation of this module so frequently that like I start to say it the way that I would normally not say it. So I think that's the way to do it, is just pronounce it a different way every time. Okay, let's zoom in on, let's try our new zoom in right. Oh, no, that's not the right one. The close right. There we go. And let's zoom in our tuner. And let's get this set to, why are we on E3? I suppose we should actually listen to this too, to confirm that we've got a pretty clean signal. Let me know also how the volume is, whether the synth is too loud, especially in comparison to my voice, whether or not you can hear both of us. Oh, I see. I've got it in octave mode. Okay, there's a C3. We can unplug for now. I think, this module has so many, let me go back to my overhead. This module has so many different ways it can be used because it's got so many engines that I will admit that I have not memorized all of the controls for all of the modes or even what all of the modes do. I think especially the orange mode, like the new bank that was added in the very last firmware update, because those don't have symbols on the panel. I tend to not use them as often because I just can't remember what they are without constantly referring to the manual. So I've definitely tried them all, but I think of what I have in my memory, I think probably the wavetable mode is going to be the most interesting to create something that sort of evolves slowly. That's useful for a pad. So let's zoom in on. Oh God, I'm picking the wrong zooms. I got to change my macros so that it's more intuitive. Let's go to the wavetable, which is the third from bottom mode. And in this mode, you get a bunch of different banks of different waves, and then you can sort of scan through them, which is what a wavetable is. And if I'm remembering correctly, it's got like 8 banks, and the first 3 or the first 4 have like discrete, or maybe it's the other way around. Well, one of them is they're essentially copies of each other, except that one of the versions like interpolates between the waves and the other one has discrete steps. So let me patch this into the mixer and so we can actually hear this. Let's get output going to, I'm going to put it in 4. Oh, I should probably reset my mix too. Let's go overhead. I was doing some stuff earlier, so we want to reset all of this stuff so that we're not sending anything. Okay. And then we need to patch in to our output so we can hear it. And again, give me feedback on the volume. Hopefully it's not too loud. Okay, so let's just experiment with this so we can learn by ear which is which. So I think that the harmonics control is like the bank of waves, and the timbre is scanning through the table. And they kind of tend to go from kind of least bright to most bright. You can see you get some of those higher harmonics. That might even be a little much. We might want to go down an octave. This seems a little high for a pad. I'm going to go down an octave. So that scans through the table, and then I can't remember what morph does. Let's see. It's not clear what that's doing. Let me go to one of the banks on the other side. Okay, yeah, so this is what I was talking about. If you have the harmonics control on any of the counterclockwise positions, these are the interpolated banks. So you can see when I turn the timbre, you'll get a smooth change in between waves. And then if I go to one of the banks on the right side, they're mirror images of the left, except they don't interpolate. So when I turn this, you'll hear like sharp cuts when they change to the next wave. So I think for a drone where you want kind of slow evolving stuff, you want to stick to the banks on the counterclockwise side. So let's just keep it on the first bank, which is all the way counterclockwise. And obviously what we're going to do is modulate. So let's start with something easy. Let's do a fairly slow LFO from oct. Oh, I guess I should go overhead. So I'm taking a slow LFO from oct, and I'm going to put that into the timbre. And we're going to turn up to full modulation, or turn up the attenuator all the way. So this is going to give us the full range. Actually, I need to put this in the middle, because the LFO is bipolar. It goes positive and negative. And so I need to set the default position in the middle so that it can go both counterclockwise and clockwise. Hey Mike, welcome to the stream. Good to see you, especially on a Monday. Fun experiment to sync plates. This honestly still seems kind of loud and screechy to me. I'm going to put it down another octave. Maybe let's also try... We're definitely going to want to filter this. I think that's going to be a critical aspect of this too. Let's send it through blades before we send it directly to the output, because I feel like those high registers are kind of grating. So I'm going to take that out. We're going to send this through a filter. Let's do... Oh, I should turn this down because I think I've got the drive all the way up from how I was using it last time. Don't want to blast anyone's ears accidentally. Okay, so let's take the output of plates into the left input of blades. I'm going to bring the drive up so that we can hear it. And I've got it in low pass mode. So we're going to be cutting out some of those high frequencies. It's a little quiet now. Actually very quiet. Oh, it's because I'm high passing it. What we may want to do is mix this with the AUX output. Yeah, they're pretty strong. Let me try a different... Actually, let me make sure that I understand what timbre is doing, because I think it might actually be inversions. I can't remember if it's timbre or morph that scans through the table. Let me actually check the manual. 1 second. Okay. So yeah, the harmonics is the bank, and then the timbre is actually the row, and the morph is the column. So that's why it sounded like they kind of both did the same thing. I was thinking that there was only one way you could scan. So I'm actually going to keep it on the sort of lower. See if this is something we can actually hear. Okay, so I think the way it works is that within a given bank, when you kind of modulate across the row with timbre, it gets increasingly bright because it adds some of those really nasty upper harmonics. But then the morph will kind of scan through the columns of that row. And within a given row, the timbral change is not as big. So if I stick to one of the kind of lower rows. Like I've got the timbre all the way to the left, so we were listening to sort of the first row. And then scanning through the columns of that one row is kind of a more pleasant, a pleasant kind of spectrum, I think. It doesn't get so kind of piercing. So I think this is a good starting point. Alexander FPV, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate your compliment on my silver. I designed all of these panels myself, so I take 100% credit. That was a joke. Can stages do subharmonics? I have not used stages in the oscillator mode, so I will have to get back to you on that. It's funny that you ask, because I think next week I might do a video on stages. I've got a few interesting ideas that I want to try out with it that I think could be something worth exploring, but that I have not explored the alternative modes of it. Okay, so this is, I think, a good starting place for a drone, and I think that it's never going to sound amazing without effects on it. I think effects are really a major part of what makes a drone interesting. So let's get the sort of boilerplate patch cables going for using sea legs. So I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go out from my stereo send A into sea legs. And then we're gonna come back from the sea legs output into the A return. I'm already hearing some hissing because I see I have the noise mod up, which I will turn off. And let us send, I'm just going to send 100% of the channel to sea legs. And let's get it on max reverb. Okay, so what I've done here is I've turned up the decay time on sea legs' reverb to its maximum value, and also turned up the mix of the reverb to its maximum value. So we're mostly using it for reverb right now. Technically there's some delay in there, but because there's no attack on the sound, like you can't really hear the delay. Although if I give it a shorter delay time and we modulate the delay, that will give it a little bit more. Let me try going over the top of these cables. I really need to get some longer cables for this setup. How does that look? It's less in our way. Let's see. Let's do a little modulation. So I'm gonna keep the rate slow, but increase the depth. There, you hear that warble? It's maybe a bit much. It sounds like it's kind of, yeah, that's too loud. Looks like we're clipping. So maybe I'll take it back a little bit. Maybe we'll go to 75%. Oh, it's still pretty loud. Maybe we just need to bring the overall volume down a bit. Okay. Oh, let me check in with the chat here. Don't need an alternative mode if it's a function generator that doesn't reset its attack stage while it's active. Oh, I see. So you're talking about essentially using it as a square wave? by putting a segment in a loop. This is not something I've tried before. That's an interesting idea. I guess it wouldn't have to be a square wave, just any LFO that goes into audio rate. Okay, how are the levels now that I had to decrease the... I guess I can bring this up a little bit to compensate. Oh, and I've got the filter all the way down, but I don't think we need to filter it quite as aggressively now that we're using a kind of tamer wavetable. I'm going to give it some color too. I think for a drone, so C-Legs has 3 different sort of emulation modes: tape, BBD, and digital. I think, actually I'm going to switch it to tape. I had it in BBD. But I think for a drone, kind of the go-to is usually going to be the tape emulation, because that's going to give you wow and flutter. Let me actually switch to that. So my modulation is going to be wow and flutter. So I think you can already hear like C-Legs is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. I think, in my opinion, like a drone is, obviously it's about modulation. It's about changing the sound over time in a way that stays interesting, given that you're just playing the same note through it forever. So the wavetable mode is good. I mean, with Plaits, I think pretty much any mode could be good fodder for a drone, because you have essentially like 3 parameters that you can modulate. I think wavetable works well though, because it's kind of designed with these sort of predetermined waves that are designed to sound good next to each other. You know, scanning through all the columns of a row of a wavetable, the waves are not random. They're related to each other in a way that is supposed to sound good when you sort of scan through them. So this kind of gives you what you're after. So this is definitely a good baseline, but obviously I would say experiment with various modes to see what kind of interesting sounds you can get when you modulate the parameters. And then as soon as you have a good baseline, it's really all about the effects. I'm going to bring in a little bit of noise. Perhaps even a lot of noise. So the noise on C-Legs gives you a couple of different options. If you're not holding a shift button down, then this knob will just increase the audio level of the noise. And actually, I think pretty much cranked up all the way sounds good with a drone. And then if you hold Alt down, you can control to what degree you're getting crackle versus hiss. So right in the center, you get just crackle. And if you turn to either side, you get hiss mixed in, either pre-crackle, I think, which is, or maybe it's pre-delay if you turn left, and post-delay if you turn right. So let's give it a small amount of hiss, because I think that goes good with the tape emulation. So I think this is going to sound pretty good. And we can filter it, maybe get rid of a little of the low end. For a drone, I would generally think keeping the rate of modulation pretty low, but it's really up to your taste. I mean, we can try turning it way up just to see what it sounds like. I think it depends whether you want it to sound kind of more alien and sort of sci-fi, or whether you want it to be sort of more harmonious. The more, the faster the rate and the more pitch modulation you get via the depth, the more sort of alien it's going to sound. So you can really dial this into taste depending on what you're going for. I'm going to stick with a rate all the way slow and kind of a conservative amount of depth. That's kind of more my preference. Oh, Gabriel Luis. An open source project called Volt Pages. That sounds very interesting. I'm not sure you can put a link in the chat. YouTube might remove it. But let us know in general how we can find it so we can check it out after the stream. Breeze, I think we'll have to chat about this in more detail. I mean, it seems I'm not understanding what you were requesting. Well, we can definitely change the rate of modulation. Let's get another LFO going into the input there. Because C-Legs has modulation inputs for pretty much every control. So I can take another LFO from Oct. I can insert that into the rate input. And then if we turn up the attenuverter slightly, we'll get some degree of modulation of the rate in addition to the rate modulating the depth. Or I guess the rate modulating the delay time. Let's try turning it up all the way so we hear the full effect of the rate change. It may not be that obvious, because it's kind of a slow thing anyway. I mean, that actually sounds fine to me. This is bipolar, so maybe I should actually have the rate up kind of at the middle. That doesn't sound bad to me. I was expecting it to kind of be more obnoxious. Let me also turn up the feedback so that maybe we get a little more effect from the delay itself. And of course the delay is currently not clocked. Let me actually I do have it synced to the tempo. Let me turn that off. So I actually had sync on for both the delay and the modulation. And so it was synced to whatever that tap tempo was, which doesn't really have any connection to our modulation rates for the drone. And I've got it on the long delay mode. I guess we're spending more time on C-Legs than we are on plates. What we could do is modulate the timbre a little bit, because I think it is a little bit... It is... I mean, it's changing over time, but it's also kind of like it's on a loop. I mean, it is, in the sense that we're basically just scanning through one row of the wavetable. So maybe what we should do is also modulate the timbre, but just a little bit, so that we go through maybe just the first two rows, or maybe the first three rows, because I think it tends to get a little louder than, or a little more grating than we'd like if we go too far into the tables. So let me get another LFO from Oct, maybe a slightly faster one, and let's put that into the timbre and give it just a little bit of attenuation. Actually, I'm gonna put it up kind of like halfway, just so we can really hear the change. And then if it starts to get too aggressive, then we can just pull it back, attenuate it a bit more. Is it possible to make the high note held... Wait, to make the high held note kind of like short out near the end? Well, right now, we don't really have a way to detect what the high note is. I guess it would be kind of like at the peak of the LFO's curve. This might actually be something we could use Compare 2 for, in terms of like detecting what the sort of quote-unquote high note is, because the the perception of like the pitch going up and down is really just because we're scanning through the columns in the wavetable, and the waves tend to get brighter as you kind of go along the table. And so because we have a LFO that's essentially, it's going up and down from 0 to 5 volts and then down to negative 5 volts, the 5 volt position is when it's furthest in the wavetable. So I think that when the LFO is at its peak up here, that's probably the point in the drone that we're perceiving as the highest pitch. And so if we wanted to make some sort of effect happen when it's in that position, we would need to detect that state. So this is an interesting exercise. This might be worth trying this. So what I'm going to do is, are we on the overhead shot? Okay, this is a good test of whether data is going to work out for us in terms of being able to see this. So let me get a patch going on, or a preset going on the oscilloscope. Okay, I'm going to unplug this for a second, and I'm going to plug it into the output of channel 1 on data, and then we're going to take that output that we were using before and set it into data. Okay, and let me switch to... Alright, so now you should be seeing a close-up of the small modular case with the oscilloscope. So what we're seeing, let me change the time on this so we can sort of visualize. Okay. So that green line represents the LFO. And kind of the horizontal axis right in the middle is like 0 volts. So anything above this little orange tab, I don't know if you can see the orange tab right above my finger, that's the line that's marking 0 volts. So anything higher than that on the screen is positive voltage, and anything lower is negative. So what we're imagining is like trying to essentially like detect when it's in its higher range. And I think we can do that with Compare 2. I think the difficulty for me with Compare 2 is that you can't really visualize like where the comparison points are, because it doesn't have any sort of like CV output for the actual window itself. It only has outputs for the effect of the process. Hey, thanks Turbo Tambourine. I appreciate you stopping by. Loved your recent video, by the way. Very cool. But anyway, let's try it. Okay, so instead of sending this directly out, let's see if this cable is long enough. Is this long enough? Not quite. We're going to send... Actually, I might be able to switch the cables. So this guy, I'm going to unplug from Plaits. We're going to send this in to Compare 2. Oh, I guess we actually want to... We want to actually molt this. So hold on, let me go back to my overhead shot. So I'm going to send this into a multiple so we can take a copy of the LFO, because one copy of it we want to send to Plaits like we were before. I could probably... Oh yeah, this will work. So I'm going to plug that back into the morph. And then the other copy we're going to send into our comparator input. Okay, let me zoom in on the left side again. Yeah, that's true. We can kind of tell about we can tell from the LEDs like whether the voltage is within the window, but what we don't get a visualization of is where the boundaries of the window are in like a voltage sort of sense. Like thinking in terms of the oscilloscope, like it's like I would like to see a horizontal line on the oscilloscope matching the points above and below which the signal will go in and out of the window, and you can't get a visualization of that if I want to know like exactly what... I mean, I know that like the shift has it at 0. And so you can get kind of what the minimum and the maximum values are, but if you want to know the exact voltage of like a particular position of the potentiometer, you can't do that really. And so you really have to rely on your ears. So this is kind of maybe a not super well understood module, so it's probably worth kind of explaining what this is for, or what it does and how we're going to use it here. So a comparator is a module that will, as the name implies, compare a voltage to a level or a threshold that you set, and then it outputs a binary signal as to whether the signal that you're sending into it is above or below that threshold. In this particular case, we're using a window comparator, which makes it a little more complicated because it's not just is the signal above or below a voltage threshold. It's actually, you're setting two thresholds. You're setting a lower bound and an upper bound. And so it's creating a span of voltages for which the gate will be high. And so you're setting kind of a low point and a high point, and the farther apart those two are, the wider the band it is, and the more amount of the sort of voltage range will be considered on. So what we want to do here is we want to essentially create a band that is just at the top. Essentially, we want to detect when the voltage is in its highest point. So what I'm going to do for that is just change this shift control, which kind of offsets where the center of the range is. The way the controls work on Compare 2 is not that you're explicitly setting the lower bound and the upper bound. It's that you're setting essentially a middle point and then how wide the band is. So the shift offsets from 0 volts up to, I believe, 10 volts and negative 10 volts, like where the center of that window should be. And then as you increase the size, it widens the range around that center point that it should detect. So I think we only go up to 5. Okay, so if you, I don't know how well you can see. I guess, yeah, you can. So this little LED right here, the color of this LED tells you kind of the state of whether the signal is inside the range, above the range, or outside the range, or above. Sorry, it's tripping over my words here. The blue colored LED means that the signal is below the window. When it turns white, that means the signal is inside the window. And when it turns red, that means the signal is above the window. So I think I'm going to just kind of... We don't want to ever see it red, because red means we've got a signal above, and we want to be catching the maximum. So we want it to basically spend most of the time blue. That's pretty good. It should be blue most of the time, and we want it to turn white when we're hearing the highest pitch, or kind of the... It still needs a little more. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that what I was trying to say before is that you can send the gate that it's outputting to a scope, but the gate is just telling you whether whether it's triggering or not. What you can't do is you can't. There's no way to know exactly what voltage the lower bound is at, or exactly what voltage the upper bound is at. Like, it doesn't output that as a control signal. So your only clue is knowing the maximum and minimum positions of its knobs and looking at the LED, which again is kind of similar to just seeing the gate. But that's okay, we should be able to approximate it by ear. Anyway, so I think we're doing a pretty decent job of detecting whether we're inside the high point of the LFO right now. And so the question is then, what effect do we want to apply when that happens? And so what Mike had originally asked was having it short out near that point. I'm trying to think what shorting out how that effect would be created. maybe not shorting out per se, but kind of just like a sort of stuttery effect. We could do that by maybe like muting and unmuting rapidly to kind of create a bit of stutter. I think I'm thinking through this as I go, so I may make a mistake, but I have an idea of how this might work. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, for the like rapid muting and unmuting, I can send a control signal to Zermixa, my mixer, and I can actually automate the mute state of the channel. Or alternatively, I could actually automate the amount that it's going to the send. I guess we can set up the control signal first and then decide what to do with it afterwards. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to turn on Pamela's Pro Workout, and it's at 140 BPM, so it's got a gate that's kind of rapidly going on and off. It's at 4x is like 16th notes, right? And so if I take, well, let's just demonstrate the effect first. Let's see if I have a long enough cable to do this. I probably need one of my really long cables. Yeah. Okay. So if I take the, let's do the one output so I can customize it. I'm gonna just start it off at, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm gonna set it to 4x, so we're getting a 16th note rate at 140 BPM, and I'm gonna plug that into the first CV channel of the expander on the mixer, and then I'm gonna set up a mapping where the expander jack 1, so the jack 1 input is going to go to channel 4, and we're going to use it to toggle the mute state. I think that might be enough already. Okay, there you go. See that? So this is just doing it all the time. This is essentially kind of a tremolo effect that we're doing by rhythmically muting and unmuting the mixer channel. And so what we want to do is selectively do this only when the gate coming from Compare 2 is high. And I think we can do that by taking the gate output. So we want to know when. Let's see, is this a long enough cable? Get a little longer. We're going to take the output of this first channel of Compare 2, and I'm going to send it into the logic section on Kinks. So it's going to be in B. And then instead of going directly out of Pamela's Pro Workout, we're going to send the PAM's input into the other input of Kinks, and this will do a logic operation. And I'm going to send the minimum function out into the mixer. And let's listen to it for a second and see if this works. And if it does, I'll explain what I did. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty I mean, we'll have to tweak the levels a bit, but I think this is pretty close to what you were asking for. Yep, perfect. Okay, so let's walk through sort of the signal chain to explain what's happening. It's a lot slower. Okay, let let me go from 4x to like 2x. Okay, so what's happening is we're sending an LFO. And let me zoom in on the right. So we have the LFO visualized. Let me try it at 1x. So this is the LFO that we're using to modulate the wavetable. And we're sending a copy of this LFO into our comparator. And the comparator is looking for a range of voltages up in the kind of the top area. And so when it's within that band that, let's just say, I don't have a good way to represent this visually, but just, let's just say like it's a finger width across the top of the scope's range. When the green line is within that, then Compare 2 is going to send a high gate out of this output. It's essentially saying, yes, the input signal is within the range that you have defined. So when that gate is high, then we use this logic operation, because we have, coming into the other input, we have our sort of on-off state, and PAM is just giving us a square wave. So it's another gate signal that's just on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, and it's going all the time. And so we have those two signals coming in as our two inputs, and then we perform the minimum logic operation on that. And minimum says, compare the two voltages coming in on input A and input B. Oh, my hands are not visible. Input A and input B. And whichever is the lower of the two voltages at any given time, that's the one that you send out of the output. And so you imagine our left side is going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, because that's what PAM is doing. And the right side coming from Compare 2 is either low or it's high, depending on whether we're in the window or not. So if we're outside of the window, then we're always sending out 0 volts, because Compare 2 sends out 0 when our input signal is outside of the window. And the result is that we're essentially ignoring what's happening on the left input from PAM. But as soon as we're inside the window, then Compare 2 goes high, and now the minimum value is what's on the left side from PAM. So the gate actually does go to 5 volts, and it only goes down when PAM goes down. And so essentially we're using this as like a bypass, that we're only letting the left side through when the right side is high. And the right side is only high when our LFO is within the window that Compare 2 is selected. Does it make sense? So this is how we get the muting and unmuting. Yeah, I'm essentially using the Kinks logic section as a VCA. That's exactly right. I think I like Kinks for an application like this. I mean, it is basically just doing a VCA, although it's like, in this case, it's binary because we're using gates. But I think the fact that it's sort of like explained as logic makes it really kind of applicable to this sort of situation. Is it possible to make the tremolo more of a fade-in, fade-out? It starts at a low intensity that gets more... Yes, so if we wanted to sort of like... So in that case, you're not talking about kind of turning it on and off. You're talking about attenuating the degree to which the sound is going in and out. So in this case, I've mapped the green cable to a mute. So it is a binary thing that it's either on or off. But what we could do if we want it to be sort of more like a volume change rather than a strict on and off is we could actually map this green modulation signal to a volume chain rather than a binary state. And so if we wanted to do that, then what we could do is change, well, let me change the mapping first. So I'm going to change this from mute to, oops, I think scale is what I want. And this won't quite work yet because I need to change this. I think this is what I want, but it may not be. We want to change the wave that's coming from Pam. So instead of a gate, it should be a sine wave, I think. Or just something that kind of, maybe like a triangle wave, like a unipolar triangle wave. Okay, so we're getting something kind of similar to this, where you can hear it's kind of fluttering rather than going on and off stuttery like it was before. Scale is maybe not what we want. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to change the volume from scale to add, and then I'm going to add negative. Zoom in on the right case. I'm not sure if you can see this, but if it may not be zoomed in, it may not be enough resolution to see this little screen. But at the top of the screen, there's sort of a horizontal axis that's showing the degree to which the modulation is affecting the signal, and it creates like a little bar graph where the center has a little sort of a vertical line on it, and that's like the 0 volts. And then whenever that modulation signal comes in, you actually see a little animation of how much signal is coming and being applied to decreasing the volume. Yeah. And you, Breeze, and similarly, you can tell that I'm a programmer because I'm thinking in terms of logic. Okay, so this is kind of similar to what Mike was saying, where rather than kind of getting the stutter, we're getting sort of a more smooth vibrato, or I guess a smooth tremolo. But what we're not getting is like a smooth change between tremolo and not tremolo. And I think that's, I might have to think, maybe there's a way to do this, but just thinking through this out loud. Compare to is just giving us a gate, like a binary signal on or off. Like, is the thing in the window or is the thing outside the window? And so it doesn't really give us information about, is the voltage approaching the window? So we don't have a way to say, apply a little bit of tremolo as it approaches the window, or like, you know, it's just a binary thing. So in order to kind of like ease in the amount of tremolo, I'm trying to think how we could do that. I mean, I guess the way we could do it is by, I guess we just get rid of the comparator, basically. Yeah, I was thinking a slew, maybe, but I think if we want the tremolo to always be present, but just at increasingly audible amounts as the pitch goes higher, really what we want to do is actually just send the LFO into a VCA. I think we can just use a VCA to do this. So let's unpatch from compare to, and we don't need the logic section anymore either. What I'm going to do is, let's see, let me go to the left camera. Okay, so I'm going to go out of quad VCA channel 1, and let me set this completely off to begin with. So our LFO, cables of useful length here. Okay, so instead of going into the comparator, we're going to send the LFO into the input of the VCA. No, sorry, I'm wrong. The LFO is going to be the CV control. I'm going to turn this off for a second. And the input is going to be, the control signal input is going to be that essentially sine wave from, I guess it's a unipolar triangle wave that's coming from PAM. Turn these off, although it doesn't really matter. So we've got a triangle wave coming into the input, and the amount that triangle wave gets sent to the mixer out of this cable is determined by the value coming in on this CV cable. And so this again is our LFO, a copy of our LFO that we're using to modulate the timbre. So this is bipolar though, so we'll have to see what it does, but I'm just going to turn it up all the way. We should get a smooth change. Let me see. I think this ends up working because our mixer is ignoring the negative portion of the signal. Maybe. Let me see if I'm doing this right. I'm just watching the input on... Oh, I reset this accidentally. Amount is negative... Let's do like negative 50. Well, I'll do a negative 70 just to make it really audible. Yep. Yeah. I don't think you guys can see it because of the resolution, even if I zoom in on the right side. Maybe you can. I can sort of see it in my OBS preview. But if you look at the very top of the Xeramix's screen right here, you can see there's a little bar that gets animated to the left of the center whenever the signal is coming in on the green cable. So this actually does work. It's not that the VCA ignores it, it's that, well, the signal is bipolar, and the quad VCA does accept negative CV. It just doesn't mean anything in this case. Like you can use the negative CV, for example, to kind of invert the usual behavior of a VCA. Like let's say you had kind of the standard use case of like an audio signal going in, and then you want to like let the output out as the CV signal goes higher. You can do the opposite with negative CV. If you set the offset so the VCA is open completely by default, you can close it by sending negative voltage into the CV input. Okay, I think we should give this a little bit more texture, staying true to the original request of making this an interesting drone. Maybe we'll send... oh, we should be modulating the filter, too. Maybe I'll send... maybe we'll do a bandpass? Let me just try this. Let me switch over to the left case. I mean, the quad refers to it just having 4 identical channels, but as a separate feature, it also allows negative CV. All right, so I put blades into bandpass filtering, and let's modulate the cutoff a bit. I've got it right in the middle. Let's get an LFO, just because I don't want to constantly use all my longest cables. I'm actually going to use stages for an LFO. So let's put the first channel in single cycle looping mode. And I'm going to turn up the resonance too, so we can really hear where the cutoff is as the filter moves around. So in addition to the tremolo effect, we're now also modulating the filter cutoff. And this is, again, a bandpass filter, so we're hearing just a slice of the frequency spectrum at a time. And this LFO is unsynced, so we can make it let's see. Yeah, I have it at its slowest rate. And I've turned the resonance on the filter up a bit so that you can clearly hear kind of the movement of the bandpass. Another thing we can actually do is modulate the resonance, and we can unsync that from the modulation of the cutoff. Let's give these two different amounts and bring in a little bit of modulation on the resonance. It's maybe a little too much signal there. I want it to feel organic and not nothing that kind of takes you out of the zone that it puts you in. Okay, so this is one thing that we can do. The other thing I was thinking is maybe just put it through beads and add some sort of smearing to this. This, in addition to delay and reverb, like beads, I mean, it's literally called a texture synthesizer. That is the perfect use case. So, let me unplug that for a second, and we're going to send the filter output into the mono input of beads. I can use a short cable for this. That's perfect. So filter output into into beads input, and now we can do stereo out of beads, because beads is going to process the mono input and give us a stereo output. So that'll really improve the sort of texture of the, true to its name, improve the texture of the drone that we're making here. Let me not get my left and right cables confused, although I guess it doesn't really matter. So plugging in the left side and the right side. Oh, I already had some stuff set up. Let's put it in the really lo-fi mode. Let's go reverse grains, and let's make the grains fairly long. And let's give them a smooth envelope. We could try applying some of Beads' own reverb and just kind of mix that with sea legs, but putting reverb before delay doesn't always give you the effect you want. It's a little, usually it's the other way around. But we can try it. I don't think it hurts. That's good and droney. I forget who it was who first requested this. Was it Ted? Asking for a drone, a mutable instruments drone. I hope we've sufficiently achieved that goal. Let's try a different bank of wavetables. I feel like we could modulate the delay even a little more. I'm going to bring the depth up a bit. Get even a little more alien. Sounds pretty cool. Would it be nuts to try to put some drums over this? Actually, oh, I know what I want to do. We're going to do some alien beats with Incus. So Incus Iteritas Alia is like a sort of a drum macro oscillator. And I've been playing with it recently because I very rarely use this firmware. But there was a thread on Modwiggler recently where someone was asking, like, what are your most commonly used Alia firmwares? And this was, like, I think the second or maybe third most popular. And I was surprised to learn that people liked it so much. So I was like, it never really worked for me the times I've tried it, but it's probably a me problem. And so I've been trying to spend more time with it, and I've actually gotten some cool stuff out of it. So I think what I want to do is, let's take a quarter note, or 16th note pulse from Pam and send it into our Mimetic Digitalis Advance. And we're going to use this for sequencing parameters on Incus. And then we're going to copy, or I guess send through. So the clock is going to advance the steps on Mimetic. And it also sends out a trigger. Oh, I need a longer cable. It sends out a trigger whenever a step advances, so you can essentially use this to pass the trigger through to the next module. So I'm going to use it to trig Incus. And then let's take the output of Incus. Do we want to process it? Yeah, maybe we'll send it through Ruina just because we might do something with it. We'll see. And from there, we're going to go into our mixer in stereo. And I'm going to bring this in quietly because I don't know what it's going to sound like. It sounds like a helicopter. Let's turn off Ruina for right now. Okay, and then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to send the Mimetic Digitalis' CV sequencer with 4 channels of 16 steps. So I'm going to send all of the outputs into Lapsus Os, which is an attenuverter, like sort of a performable attenuverter. So we've got 4 channels of Mimetic going into 4 channels of Lapsus. And then we're going to send the attenuated signals into 4 parameters on Incus. And I don't know what they should be. I think it probably doesn't really matter. Let's do maybe shape. Oh no, we'll do alloy, weight, shape, and temper. And I can explain more about the specifics of what Incus is doing if people are interested. But let's just kind of play with it and see what we get. Alright, so I'm going to randomize all 4 channels. And then we can slowly bring in So the higher that these... Let me switch to my right screen. So the higher I put these sliders, the more of the sequence coming from mimetic is allowed through to Incus. You know what I'm going to do is instead of sending this into the mixer directly, I'm actually going to send it into our second. I guess I'll zoom in here. I'm going to send it into my Erica Sense effects that I was talking about at the beginning, and then from there we'll go to the mixer. It is going to be long enough? Nope, not quite. And I'll need a couple of small patch cables to go from delay to reverb. So left out of the delay into the right, left in of the reverb, right out into right in, reverb, left out into mixer in, right out into mixer in. I'm going to put them totally dry for now. And let's go just completely off. All right, we've got our signal back. And let's bring in the delay. I'm thinking we might actually want to molt this. Let's molt this clock so that we can sync the delay. Let's see, is this going to reach my multiple? That it is, that it is. And is the multiple going to reach Incus? That it is. Alright, then we'll need a long cable. Copy that clock to the sync of our delay. Thanks, Cicero. Yeah, I agree. This is pretty cool. Let's bring in some more of the modulation. I'm just kind of messing with Incus to see if I can find some settings that sound good. trying to see to what degree different values affect it. And I think we want it to be really spacious, so I'm actually going to turn the dry wet on the reverb past 50%. And let's create a big cavernous space, actually, for the drums. Maybe put a bunch of feedback on the reverb itself. I kind of want it to like sound far away. Maybe even a bigger size. I'm in the room mode actually, so let me switch to hall. Yeah, this is pretty damn cool actually. And on Ruina, I'm actually it's completely dry right now, so we're not doing any distortion. But let me zoom in on the right case. I set all the values to kind of their neutral positions, and let's bring in the distortion on Ruina. Get the drive kind of in the higher frequencies. A little bit more stereo image. Let's also ping pong the delay. And give it a little wave folding. Oh, I'm affecting the wrong channel. That's what happened here. I somehow bumped the control on this, so it was applying the tremolo to the drums instead of the drone. That's why it kept dropping out. Glad I noticed that. That sounds pretty cool. Maybe we'll do some kind of wild modulation on the delay time. I don't usually do a lot of modulation on delays, but I feel like because we're kind of going for this sort of alien landscape, it is the move. I just bumped my microphone with the cable. Maybe just kind of like a constant fluctuation. Let me send my, whoops. I'm gonna set this up for 2 values. Whoops. Okay. So now the blue cable, or the blue trace on the bottom, is the control signal coming from Oct, or the octave expander, actually. Let's do this lower one, so it stays mostly in the lower range. And let's send this into the time to change the clock divisions and bring up the CD a little bit. So this should give us some little wiggles in there. Bring up the drums a little louder so we can hear it. So this blue line should be modulating the time control, and because I have a clock coming into the sync input, each position of the time knob is like a division or multiplication of the clock rate. So it should sort of like lock into divisions that match the tempo, but you should be a little pitch shifting as it switches between divisions. And this CV control here is just an attenuator that controls how much of that signal gets applied to the time. Let me put it up all the way just so we can hear its maximum effect. It's not super obvious to me, honestly. Maybe I'll increase the sort of DJ filter on the time to make the delay kind of in the higher frequencies. Should make it maybe a little easier to hear. And then, of course, we can always shred and do a new random sequence for all these parameters on Incus. But every time I press load and shred, it randomizes the CD values for all 16 steps across all 4 tracks. So we'll get a different pattern, or a different sort of modulation characteristics for Incus. I'll turn the feedback up on the delay. Might want to modulate time instead of shape. I feel like shape doesn't do much for us. Well, I could just keep doing this forever. Which is fine by me, but I want to make sure for anyone who's watching this live that you're remaining interested, or if there's anything else you would like us to try or explore here. Or anything you don't understand about what I've patched that I could maybe explain. What about some different effects on beads? Maybe let's try short, plucky attacks. With some feedback. I'm just messing with the size of the grains and the amount of feedback. So this is good for like a performability, having this modulation of Incus from the CV mimetic is producing. This is good for performing, but if we wanted to just kind of vary it on its own, sending this through a VCA with some LFOs controlling them would probably be better. Depends if if I were to turn this into a performance, I would have to decide what aspect of it I would want to control manually and what part of it I would want to be automated. Well, I had no idea where we were going with this today, but I'm actually pretty pleased with the result. I mean, I guess drones are always kind of a win, because you don't need a good melodic or rhythmic idea to make it sound good. Changing the bank again on the wavetable on plates. Alright, well, if there's anyone still watching live, please let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see, or any questions. I'm happy to go in the direction that you want. Otherwise, I might just wrap it up. I think this is a pretty good conclusion, I think we made something pretty cool today. Thank you for the questions and ideas earlier. I think this brought us to something I would not have found otherwise. Especially the use of the comparator and the logic circuit and stuff to do that sort of tremolo at certain points in the cycle of the drone. I think that was a really cool sort of challenge. Oh, thank you, Cicero. Yeah, I agree. This is a nice one. This is why I'm just kind of sitting here twiddling knobs. I could keep myself entertained for quite some time. Just making various little changes. Alright, thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this, or if you learned something, I would very much appreciate your support on Patreon. You go to patreon.com/Perceptes. That's where you can sign up. You can join for free, which will just give you sort of updates about when I have new videos available or new live streams. You can also chip in a few dollars each month. That'll give you full access to our Discord server, as well as high-quality audio downloads of all of the musical performances that I post to the channel, and likely more to come in the future. You can also join the Discord for free. Check the description of the video, and you'll find a link to it, so you can come chat about modular. This week I have a new video coming out on Wednesday. Keep an eye out for that. We're going to be covering sidechain techniques for sidechain compression within a modular context. And the plan is to keep doing these once a week. So I'm having a great time, and I hope you are too. Alright, thanks so much everyone, and I'll see you next time.